Alright, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Bonus Points. I am fresh out of bed, and before I even eat my breakfast or anything, here I am making a video for you all instead. So, see the dedication. Okay, we can go ahead and jump straight into the Game Week 6 preview. However, before we do that, let's have a couple of announcements to make for you all. First of all, I want you all to remember that this time the deadline is going to be on Saturday morning rather than Friday afternoon. Just keep that in mind. You have a little bit extra time to set your team, but I would recommend setting it on Friday night because most of us will just go ahead and go to sleep late on Friday. Don't wake up in time on Saturday and then it's like, oh shit, my team I didn't set it. My captain still on Bamford and he ain't playing and whatever else, So yeah, just go ahead and just keep that deadline in mind, alright? The next thing is that I got 5 questions this time from a post on Instagram, and I'm really excited about it, so I'm gonna take a big chunk of this episode, me answering the questions. Real happy about that. So keep asking my questions, right? Because yeah, if you all don't ask my questions, I don't know what the hell to do on this thing. So that's a real nice way to take up some time. And then finally, our Premier League Fantasy is going to be doing another special game week this game week on Game Week 6. So if you're part of RPM Fantasy and you're watching this video, yep, now you know it have another special game week this weekend, alright? So keep that in mind when you're picking your teams. But that's about it for all the notes that I had, and let's just go straight into the questions. So first question I got was from my boy John Mungle, and he's basically asking if you should keep Jimenez or not. He said he just used his wildcard. Actually, he brought Jimenez in, and now he's wondering, well, if he should keep Jimenez. And this is probably a question that could relate to a lot of y'all out there, because Jimenez is quite highly owned, kinda, on the FPL app. Okay, so where do I start with this? I mean, I understand the transfer, okay, and at this point you only had him for 1 week, so I would say, look, you brought him in for some reason, right? Like, I doubt you just brought him in because you were looking for a random striker and you just land on him in that, and I was like, alright, I'll take him. There must have been some positives that led you towards choosing Jimenez. It's just been 1 blank for you so far, so I would say 1 blank is not enough to go ahead and take him out. However, there is some context, okay? There are a few other strikers that may be performing right now, but there are a lot of strikers that are pretty injured, especially around that price point. You're looking at the 2 strikers from Everton out. Bamford is confirmed not playing this weekend. Antonio is just back, but most of us have him already, so it's like most likely have him already. But if not, then Antonio is a good one to go ahead and pick up. Maybe Saint Maximin could be a decent option, but even playing for Newcastle, I always feel like playing for those low tier clubs, I like to stay away from those players, even though Saint Maximin is that good. So for me, all the signs are pointing towards let's keep Jimenez for another game week. You have a pretty good game coming up. I understand that he's not getting much shots in the box. He's not looking too good. He's not looking too sharp. He hasn't even scored for the season yet. But it's like, who do we replace him with? Unless you don't have Antonio and you could go get Antonio, I would say just keep him. So that's my final answer on that one, on what to do with Jimenez. If you have him and you don't have Antonio, then I think it's a good transfer to go ahead and get Antonio. But if you already have both of them, then you might as well just keep Jimenez, because again, you got him for a specific reason. I'm sure there were positives that swayed the decision into picking Jimenez. Let's just give him a few game weeks to at least repay you, okay? So, yep, that's the verdict on Jimenez. And now, another question. This one coming in from Mr. Nice Tonio. So, in case you all don't know, Antonio, I'm a boy. And, yeah, another question for me today. So, is Everton a good option for this weekend with Rondon as a striker? Okay, so just to repeat that, he asking if Everton is a good option this weekend, given that Rondon is the striker. And yeah, paraphrasing, because I don't really feel to read the whole questions that people sent in, but you're gonna see the actual questions up on screen, okay? Alright, so first of all, I want to start off by saying that anybody that's playing against Norwich is supposed to be on paper just a fantastic option. Offensively, defensively, even for captain, I think these guys are good options when they're going up against Norwich. Especially when they look at the top half of the table team going up against Norwich, okay? That's where I think the money really lies. But I understand the concern, because now it's like Everton have no good striker up there. Rondon used to be good in this league, but then he took like 2 years off and played in China. I think he played in China or Japan, one of those countries. I know he played last week, did not look too sharp, looked kind of sluggish actually, didn't really get on the ball much, and then had to be substituted at 65 minutes because my boy tired. Alright, so what does that mean for Everton? It means that they're not as strong as they would have been with DCL and Richarlison up there, or even with one out of the pair up there. But I still think it's a pretty good team to go up against Norwich. Rondon is not someone that I would look at for fantasy reasons, but I think he's good enough for 65 to 70 minutes to at least put the pressure on Norwich and at least help the attack in some ways. He's a pretty good hold-up player, so he should be able to bring the likes of Townsend and Gray into the game. And these are the guys that I would want to target for this game. So Townsend and Gray, definitely the boys I would want to target for this game. I think Everton should be okay against Norwich, even though they have to play Rondon. I won't be too worried if I have an Everton asset. And I won't be too worried if my plan all along was to bring in Townsend or Gray for this game. I think I'll still go ahead and do that. But I definitely won't look at bringing in Solomon or Rondon. And Antonio, just because he couldn't help himself, had to ask another question, but I do appreciate it. It's that basically, will Arsenal keep this form? I think they look pretty good defensively. I think offensively, it hasn't really been too bright. At least that's my opinion. But I think defensively, they've looked good. I don't think that it's a case of them just playing against easy teams. I think they have a pretty good understanding of how to defend. I think they have much better defenders in there with Ben White and Tomiyasu now. Tierney has always been a monster in my opinion, and the introduction of Partey a little bit later on into the season has been a pretty good one, especially when it comes to winning back the ball in the midfield and just helping out the midfield generally, you know. I think Arsenal should be able to keep up their defensive form. I'm not saying they're going to keep a clean sheet every single weekend, but they have some good fixtures coming up ahead. I think they should be able to keep that defensive record pretty good, and they should remain as statistically one of the better defenses in the league. If I had to target Arsenal players, I'd definitely go for their defenders. One thing to mention is that most of their defenders are pretty cheap. They have like 3 defenders that come in at 4.5. The goalkeeper is 4.5. Tierney is the only one that's a little bit expensive, but you don't have to go for him. And at the end of the day, you do get what you pay for. So if you're paying for a 4.5 million defender and you're upset that he's not keeping a clean sheet every week, then you need to reassess your situation here in FPL, right? So you're always going to get what you pay for. That's usually the case. And again, Arsenal defenders are priced at 4.5 million for a reason. I think that it's a pretty good defense on paper, but I'll say the same thing about Brighton, okay? And we don't expect Brighton to go keeping clean sheets every single weekend. So I hope that price point aspect brings this whole thing into perspective for you. And yeah, I think the overall verdict is Arsenal, yes, I think they are good defensively. They should be able to keep up that defensive form. They're not going to keep a clean sheet every single weekend, but it is still a defense that I would be willing to target. And now this last question, well, second to last question, sorry, coming in from Chocolate Papi, and it is Gray captain material? And honestly, yes, he is. Anyone that goes up against Norwich is captain material, okay? I understand that it's a weaker Everton team right now with Seamus Coleman out, DCL, I forget his name, Richarlison out, okay? But yes, I still think that a top half table team going up against Norwich, I think the attackers are still good captaincy options. Gray is not my first choice, he's not my second choice, but as a good differential, yes, I expect that guy to score this weekend. Hopefully a hat-trick, alright, because he's on my side. And if you want to captain him, I think that it's a good option still. Expect him to score. I think it's a good option. And then finally, coming in from B Peters 868, I have 3 fans. I have 1 free transfer to make. Are there any good midfielders? This is a bit of a broad question because, of course, there are some good midfielders, Salah, Mane, De Bruyne, okay? I could call out those. But to make the question a bit more interesting, let's not go for the obvious, expensive ones. And let's set the restriction to under 8 million, okay? So as you look from 8 million and under, the first one that's going to pop up is Jack Grealish. He's been playing fantastic. He's had a pretty good start to the season so far. He has, I think, 2 goals in all competitions, a few assists. It's a brilliant start for him so far, and he's looked like he's worth that 100 million. And the great thing is that it looks like he's rotation proof as well. However, you look at the 2 games coming up, and they don't look too good. You're looking at against Chelsea and then against Liverpool. So Jack Grealish, no, I won't bring him in as yet, just because of the 2 fixtures that's coming up. And then you start looking at Greenwood and Jota. These guys have been looking good. I know Jota hasn't really scored yet, and at least he's getting into good positions though. Positions where he's able to throw away the ball from about 4 yards out. So pretty good position. He just needs to score those. And Greenwood is looking pretty good as well. However, I think rotation is going to set in for these guys really soon. I'm not even sure if Jota can play this weekend. I think Greenwood would play, but at some point Greenwood is going to get rotated to make way for Jadon Sancho as well. We're not sure what's going on with Pogba, whether he plays deep or whether he plays as a left winger. I don't know, looking kind of weird right now. So Greenwood is not someone I would count on, and neither is Jota. I think they should be good for this weekend, but then after that it's just like, I am not sure if they're going to keep playing. So for the long term, you might not want to bring these guys in. Also, Greenwood has some pretty difficult games coming up after Aston Villa this weekend. So for that reason too, probably won't look to bring him in. And then as they get cheaper, they start looking at, okay, now there's Ben Rama. If they don't have Ben Rama, I think he's a pretty good one to bring in at 6.5, still pretty cheap. I understand that he's not the 6.2 he started with, but this is not a bad price. Still, you could still go in for him. And he has some nice games coming up. Leeds especially should be pretty good, and I might even transfer him in myself. And then you're looking at Demarai Gray and just Townsend. I'll just talk about those 2 guys together. Pretty nice game against Norwich there. And Demarai Gray has started the season pretty well. So I think this could be someone else to go for. And then Ismaila Sarr, who has 3 nice games coming up and just managed to score a brace over last weekend. So this could be another good one to go for. Basically, it is going to depend on if you have your wild card still, and if you just want these guys for like the short term, or if you're actually looking for like that mid to long term. If you're looking for medium to long term, then Sarr is someone that I'll probably forget about, because I don't want to go for a Watford player on a long term. But definitely, Demarai Gray, he looks to be starting in that Everton side, and I think his stock just going to increase when Calvert-Lewin comes back. And same thing for Ben Rama too. He's playing on a very strong side, and it looks like he locked down his starting position. So Gray and Ben Rama are the 2 guys that I would suggest for your team, without having seen it, of course. And that brings us to the end of our question segment, and we are going to steamroll straight in to the captaincy segment now. Okay, so as I always say, a good captain could make the difference between a good game week and a bad game week. A good game week and a great game week. And a good captain could often make the difference between a red arrow and a green arrow. And of course, we're trying to chase them green arrows. So let's just go straight into it. I think the standout captain for this weekend is Cristiano Ronaldo. This guy is just too hungry right now. Okay, he is very willing to score goals, and yes, all players want to score goals. But Ronaldo really wants to score goals right now. It's like every time he gets on the ball, my heart just, because I don't have him, and it's like, shit, is he going to score again? And more often than not, he's managing to do it. So far, every game he played for United, in all competitions, the man scored at least 1 goal. Alright, so let's just keep that in mind. The guy is super hungry. These are the types of players that I want. He's playing at Old Trafford. I always keep that home fixture thing in mind, especially with crowds coming back. He's playing at home. He's a very hungry player. He's going up against what looked like a shaky defense so far throughout the start of the season. That's Aston Villa. All the signs are pointing towards Ronaldo going to score again. Okay, and sometimes you just need to go for the safe option. I understand that he hasn't been scoring a lot of points. It's just been 6 points here and 6 points there. But sometimes you just need to go for the safe option. And when you assess the other options, yeah, Ronaldo might be the actual standout. The next one is going to be Salah against Brentford, but statistically speaking, Brentford is the 2nd best defense in this league. Now, I understand that, okay, it's Brentford. It's a team that just got promoted, and it's Salah. But I think the most consistent player throughout the start of the season so far. He is the most consistent player in the season right now. It's just that, you know, as so we talk about it when Salah goes away, sometimes he manages to score a little bit more in Anfield than he does away from home. I I think these away fixtures are going to be a little bit more difficult for teams now that crowds are finally back, and after being away for like almost 2 years, these crowds are really getting on the backs of their home teams. I think Brentford might have a point to prove as well, and they have been defending well. They have a solid structure. They remind me a lot of shit, the name of that team, you know. The team with Lundstrom, I forget the name of the team, but when they first came in, their first season, Lundstrom and the other boys, and Ramsdale and those guys, no, Dean Henderson, sorry, and those guys were doing pretty well. And Brentford reminds me a lot of that team defensively. They go with 5 in the back, and they are very structured. And another thing is that I've seen Salah come up against compact defenses and just have a hard time. Liverpool on a whole actually have come up against compact defenses and have a hard time. And I won't be surprised if that's what happens this weekend. If I was Brentford, being the underdog by a mile, I would come in just looking for 1 point. Let's get that draw, let's get that 0-0, and then just move on to the other games and take points where we can. That is what a smart manager would do, in my opinion. So all that is to say that, look, Salah has been super consistent. I don't think I'm going to captain him this weekend. I'm just not sure about how it's looking on paper, you know, when it comes to how Salah is going to do. I'm honestly not sure, and I'm not convinced that he might score this weekend. I think he could score because he's just that good of a player, but when you look at the other guys that you could captain, looking at Ronaldo, I think he's going to score for sure. I think they should definitely go for Ronaldo instead of Salah this weekend. I hope I'm not wrong. I don't want to give you all bad advice, but that's just how it's looking to me, okay? And then, coming up on the guy that I probably going to captain this weekend since I don't have Ronaldo, it's Michael Antonio versus Leeds. Antonio is back after a nice little rest, after getting himself a red card, you know how he's doing. I know he's going up against a very, very weak Leeds team. That defense is not looking good at all, and they just lost Llorente, just a big blow. They don't have Pascal Struck, and Ailing looked like he's going to miss the game too, and Bamford is 100% out, and they're not sure about Rafinha, so it's like, goddamn, who they gonna play, just the subs. So yeah, all the signs pointing towards Antonio for me. I targeted this picture so much that I probably went to transfer in Benrahma and captain Antonio. And yeah, that's about all I could say for that. And then if you need an outside shout in terms of captaincy, I would look at Gray, Townsend, or Digne, just any of those explosive Everton boys. Because again, they're going up against Norwich, and I kind of talked about this when I was answering the questions earlier today. But yeah, anybody against Norwich is just always going to be captain material. Any attacker, it's going to be captain material. And Digne is a very attacking fullback. I think good shout for captain. So yeah, that actually brings us to the end of this episode. I hope it was a better one than Tuesday, because I find the episode on Tuesday was kind of shit. But so let's go, and we'll be back again on Tuesday. And I hope you all enjoyed the episode. So please have a good weekend. Good luck this weekend in terms of FPL. Do not forget that the deadline is Saturday morning. Please set your teams from all now. Alright, if you're watching this video right now, just come and set your damn team right now. Please pay attention to your captaincy options, because this is a weekend where there are not any like standout captain. So just try and get correct. You don't have to listen to what I say, but just pay attention to it on your own, okay? Like, I don't be correct all the time. Matter of fact, I hardly ever be correct, but just make sure and pay attention to that captaincy option on your own. And yeah, I can't hammer that in enough, alright? Please get your captain correct this weekend. It can help you a lot. Definitely use our chance for this weekend, because the fact is most of us have at least one flagged player on our team, or one player that just isn't going to play on our team. So look to get that guy out and then move for the future, okay? But aside from that, have a good weekend this weekend, just in general life and in terms of FPL as well. Don't forget to like the video, share and subscribe, alright? And until next time, goodbye.